Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this key 55 entitled Stress, let's say managing stress. Well, like usually we're gonna process in 4 steps. First of all, we're gonna define what is this concept of the definition of stress. Then secondly, the reason for being of the stress and also how the fact to manage the stress and the field of application, and then we'll see some techniques and advice, tips to manage stress. Well, first of all, what is stress concretely? This is actually quite simple. It's not necessarily negative, but even if it's one of the worst, let's say, problem of the century, because it's quite recent, okay? And but actually initially, okay, it's just a reaction, okay, a stimulation towards, from the body towards the let's say the potential danger and generating fear. Okay, so it's a kind of warning that you have. It's stimulated by the body. It's physiological. Okay, it's a kind of biologic, let's say, reaction, stimulation for you to be aware of a potential danger. Okay, so it's not negative. It's just a stimulant. Okay, it's just for you to react. Okay, so it's like when you have, for instance, an indicator, you know, like a symptom of a disease. Disease, not at ease. Okay. This is for you to warn you that you need to probably to have some corrective actions in terms of hygiene of life and so on, and that you need to be healed. Okay, so it's the same principle. Initially, is not necessarily negative. Then, what is really important is to define and to separate, because there is positive stress and negative stress. The positive stress, I told you, is just to stimulate you, okay? So it allows you to warn you in terms of danger. If, for example, I don't know, a tiger is running at you, it allows you to give you more ability to maybe to run quicker and so on, or to react quicker anyway. So it's more positive. It's give you more energy normally. It's give you more motivation if you need to finalize something. I don't know, some revision for an exam or a deadline for a work, for an article, whatever. But it's just supposed to be a source of motivation. So this is the positive stress, okay? Because it's generating adrenaline. Adrenaline is one of the 4 hormones of happiness, okay? Adrenaline is what we use. This is what is generated, the hormones generated when you do extreme sports, okay? So it brings you a kind of satisfaction once it's, let's say, satisfied, when you reach your objectives and so on. So it's quite positive. But let's say it should be used punctually, okay? Rarely. It's like your airbag. You don't use your airbag all the time. Of course, if you you use it once, it's the maximum, okay? So you can rely on it, okay? But you don't rely upon it too much, okay? You know, it's like for association, for life in general. You can have a rush period. You can have a peak season, for example, but you cannot afford to be, running a marathon in sprint. Okay. You can just do a sprint at the end, at the arrival, if you still have energy, of course, but you cannot afford to run like this the whole 40 kilometers. It's impossible. So it's the same thing. So that's why there is also bad stress, which is chronic stress. Chronic stress is when is repetitive and is a kind of habits, and thereby it becomes a higher level. It's a kind of anxiety. Okay, so this creates some problems, release of adrenaline, which is the blood pressure, the heart rate acceleration. It creates and stimulates cortisol. Okay, so a lot of glucose and so on, diabetes and so on. So let's say it's these are stimulus. Okay, stimuli, plural. But this is, like when you have an operation, anesthesia. Anesthesia is not good for health, okay? But it's better to use that once you have an operation. And most of the time, except in extreme cases, you don't have an operation every single morning, right? So when you use it, it's exceptional. It's the same for the stress. So once it's chronic stress, it means because you're ruminating and it's become mental, and it becomes, after that, it's reinforced, and thereby it becomes chronic anxiety. Okay, so there are lots of problems linked to stress in general. So there are psychological symptoms and also physiological. Okay, physical symptoms. Sorry. So psychological symptoms, states of irritability. Okay, you are more, let's say you don't have patience, okay, for your kids, for remark, for criticism, and so on and so forth. Okay, restlessness, for example, anxiety, worry for sometimes not rational things. Okay, you need to check, to verify, to control a lot of things. Okay, like almost. Compulsively, it's not rational anymore. You do it many times, and it's not really consistent. Okay, difficulty to concentrate. Okay, because too much stress affects definitely your efficiency. Difficulties to take decisions, so it brings indecision. Blockage in carry out some activities like inaction, because you want to do many things, but at the end you cannot do anything. Okay, too much stress, you're blocked. It's like in a trauma, for example, an attack. Some people, the victims, their testimony after a while, they cannot explain why they are completely blocked. They don't have they cannot shout, they cannot defend themselves, and so on. Okay, they are completely blocked because of the extreme fear. Okay, so it's affect all this. So it's really bad. The other physical symptoms, dizziness, loss of balance, digestive disorder like nausea, vomiting, excess sweating, increase of heart rate, and so on, so forth. Okay, so I think it's quite clear for the bad aspect of stress in general. So what are the reasons for managing properly the stress? The first one is obvious, is to be healthy. Okay, of course. Secondly, to be peaceful and more relaxed. Okay, psychologically speaking, and thereby physiologically speaking, and thereby your body. Okay, your mindset affects your DNA, your metabolism, and thereby this is chicken and egg. Okay, so to be more relaxed, to be more peaceful, to be more comfortable is more comfortable for anybody, for yourself, and for also your environment, your parents, your family, your colleagues, and so on, your partner, and so on and so forth. To be more efficient as well, because a little bit of stress can motivate you, okay? But on the other hand, too much can also brings that you are not capable to do anything, okay? So, and thereby also raising your vibration, as we saw many times, your frequency, vibration, and so on and so forth, okay? So, what about the techniques now? Okay, so I'm gonna give you roughly 20. The first one, and I say, actually, what I'm going to tell you now, there are new things, of course, but some of them are just fresh reminders, okay, that we saw in the previous keys. One, it's fresh reminders first. Secondly, also because in the process of learning, you need to repeat 3 times things. When you learn a language, when you need 3 times, okay? Most of the time, let's say. But for you really to integrate it. And the good way of proving that you understood and actively, I mean, it's the fact to be able and capable to reformulate, to re-explain, and also to put into practice, okay? Practice makes perfect. Otherwise, it's just theory and it's nice, huh? But it's just a library and it's just for the decoration, okay? Not for practical, operational tools, okay? So this is really important. So what I try to tell you here, that there is necessarily something that we saw before, but also because this is a holistic perception, holistic approach and methodology. Holistic, holos in Greece, global, overall vision. That to say that everything I told you many times, everything in this methodology and in general, life in general, is entangled, interconnected. So this is an horizontal approach and also vertical approach, and with different layers. So here we need different tools from previous keys and so on. So it's absolutely normal, okay? But just to tell you that what we saw before is always useful, and I invite you to take a look for all of them and for you to synthesize and to keep this all information in mind and to implement all this who seems to be, let's say, vibrating within yourself. So the first one is to have a good balance, let's say, diet. That's to say, good food, good mood. Now, in the sense that balance nutrition, okay? To avoid excess, to avoid too much, the middle path is the implementation of this is for everything, but for food, is the fact to avoid to eat systematically junk food. Okay, this is normal. Too much fat, too much fat, too much sugar, too much things like this affect necessarily your mood and your stress, your anxiety. Some people they say sometimes, I don't know why, I don't have any special things tomorrow to do and so on, but I feel like uncomfortable. I feel like stressed. But it's normal. So try to have a good diet is really important. This is even a prerequisite to be healthy, in harmony, and in a process of awakening. First. Secondly, is to avoid or to limit at least the hyperconsumption of stimulants like coffee, tea, tobacco, alcohol, drugs, of course, but also sugar. Sugar, by the way, I invite you to watch a very good documentary on that. Sugar, they explain you, okay, that's not only in this documentary, but probably that it's really poison. Sugar, I'm not talking about the fructose from the fruits, no. The sugar, the artificial sugar that you can have in most of even the ready-to-eat dishes or in the many type of food. All, let's say, industrial food is full of sugar, okay, even salted, okay. So it's too much, and this brings about it brings anxiety, okay. Recently we saw in psychology a lot of new cases of some let's say hyperactive kids. It could be, of course, because the world is changed and so on, the tablets and so on. But if you see the consumption of the kids eating, for example, I say, I don't know, some colas like 2 liters every evening, don't be surprised if they cannot sleep, and thereby if they don't have a good sleep, deep sleep, they will be under pressure and under their stock of energy and so on the day after. They have problem of concentration. They are I mean, it will bring them a lot of stability. Okay, so this is really important to avoid too much stimulant, especially sugar. Sugar, it's due to diabetes, killed 10 millions of people per year. Okay, when I say to you it's poisoned, I mean it's a poison as long as you use too much. Okay, then to practice how to avoid stress, to practice physical activity. Okay, referring to the key 24. Okay, this is really important to be healthy and to release the stress. Activity is good. It's not necessarily a sport. It can be just walking and so on. It's work lots. Okay, sports regularly. It means at least 2 or 3 times a week. Okay, at least half an hour, 1 hour, ideally, and so on, if you can afford, of course. But this is something that it's good to have this discipline and to have a good frequency, okay, of this. Then cardio. Cardio is different. Cardio is physical activity, but when you stimulate your heart, okay, because this releases a lot the stress, okay. So what is the best cardio? Jogging, okay, running. What else? As long as you push your limits, like swimming like crazy, like boxing, can be just in a punching ball, or doing you dance like crazy and so on, all this kind of thing. Okay, this is cardio, or jumping. Okay, like this. There is many things like this, but it's still different from physical activity. It's excellent for heart. Okay, heart attack, heart problem, and so on. And in general, it's release the stress in general. To sleep enough, of course, referring to the key 29, the quality of sleeping impacts your capacity of managing stress, of course. Okay, so there is no miraculous recipe, especially for sleeping. Depends on the metabolism of each of us. It means that some of you need a lot, some of you need few hours. Depends on the period as well. Maybe in winter you need to sleep more and so on. You need to know your body and to listen to your body also. This is really important. Then what else? Sophrology. What is it? The work breath. Okay, so breath work. Okay, so there is different techniques as we saw in the key 23. Okay, so for example, ventral. Ventral, what is it? It's when it's natural way of breathing that the baby have, and then we lose it. But concretely, to make it sure, when you inhale, okay, inhaling, okay, you do a big belly. Okay, so it's on the other way of what we proceed normally. Okay, okay, you exflate the belly. Okay, when you inhale, and when you exhale, you do on the other way around. Okay, so try to do it 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and you will see. Because when you're stressed, most of the time you can visualize and you can feel it almost within the stomach. Okay, so it's a good way. It's a kind of massage of your stomach and of your plexus, and thereby it allows you to release and to be a little bit less stressed. So ventral. Secondly is because I told you many times, the way of breathing is the consequences of your mindset most of the time. And if you resettle, if you reparameter your way of breathing, it's reparameter, reprogram your mindsets. Okay, and you can see when you are very stressed or let's say upset, but especially stressed. Okay, your way of breathing is like this. It's small, big amplitudes and very short like this. Okay, so the goal at this stage will be to manage that and to take the lead on your breath, not to be passive anymore, but to take the lead back on it. that to say, okay, you visualize, you take 30 seconds and you visualize for the moments your way of breathing is really fragmented. So you try to have bigger amplitudes, okay, with the same level. Huh? For example, you reduce, I mean, you amplify and you do, okay, calmer, okay, you do like this. And then you try from big amplitude, quite calm, okay, but to do smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And like this, the objective is that it's almost not a curve anymore, but a kind of line, okay? It means that your amplitude are highly reduced, like neutral, okay? You even don't know if you inhale or exhale, okay? It's really discreet. When you wake up the morning, observe that your way of breathing is very calm, is almost like this. And you are calm in your mindset. You're not upset when you wake up most of the time. Even if you don't want to wake up and you're pissed off by the alarm clock, usually you're not upset. You are just super calm, your body is calm and so on. Why? Because you reduced, okay, your way of breathing. Okay, so try to apply this and you will see its effect definitely your way of managing the stress. Another technique of breathing is, when you alternate the way of breathing, okay? So it's like a cycle, okay? The square cycle, the most known, is for when you have a rhythm. A rhythm, what is it? That's why it's a square. You do, for example, you choose, and it can be 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, up to you, 10 seconds. Okay, but let's take 5 seconds. You inhale, okay, 5 seconds. Breath in 5 seconds. Then you hold your breathing 5 seconds. You exhale 5 seconds. You hold 5 seconds. You inhale 5 seconds. You hold 5 seconds. You exhale 5 seconds, and so on like this. Okay, with a rhythm like this. And you maintain this rhythm for few minutes. Couple of minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you can afford, if you like it as well, because it brings a serenity, calmness, and it releases stress in general. So this is a good way as well. Another one is hyperventilation, referring again to, if you want to deepen, of course, watch the video 23, for which you have an exercise, 23 exercise practical. Okay, practice, sorry. This is the following. So I reduce, so I'm gonna just do 10 seconds and then I hold for when I inhale at the end 10 seconds, but you can do it 30 times or 60 times or 100 times, up to you, or hold for 1 minute, 2 minutes, up to you, when you can afford, of course. The goal is not to push your limits, of course, but even that brings you a lot of calmness and you can release the stress. Okay, let's try to do it. Don't be really surprised. Okay, even that's only 10 times, okay? Inhaling, exhaling 10 seconds, let's say roughly 10 seconds, and then I hold at the ends with a large inhalation, okay? And I hold my breath for, let's say 10 seconds, can be 30 seconds, and then I release everything. Honestly, even here, I feel more relaxed. I invite you to try it by your own and to adjust, to fine-tune everything I gave you. Use your own duration, of course. Then, another technique is meditation, referring to key 20, okay? Meditation, there's rituals I gave you for magic mornings, magic wake-up. It was key 30, okay? Like 10 minutes physical activity, okay, just some exercise. I show you 10 minutes, then 10 minutes breathing like I did just now, then 10 minutes meditation, okay, visualization and or just emptiness, okay, you let it go, for instance. Only that 30 minutes, you can be sure that your day will be completely different, okay? The perception, your capacity, because you oxygenate your neurons, okay? You oxygenate your brain, and thereby you are completely more capable of doing a lot of things. You're more efficient and you perceive life differently, okay? So meditation definitely brings a lot of intakes for people in general and for managing stress, of course. Then another one, which is not exactly mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of, let's say, 5 schools of meditation. But here we are more talking about mindfulness as a daily practice. Okay, mindfulness is an extension of Zen. Zazen, what is it? Okay, you can be like this, okay, meditating, or Zazen, just observe. I mean, just opening your eyes or closing your eyes, and you empty your mind. And by emptying your mind, you will reach the nothingness and the fulfillment. You know, the paradox, emptiness and fulfillment. It is this. And this is more in the in action. What does it mean? It's you are completely absorbed in what you in the present, okay, in the instant, what you are doing now, the power of now, okay. That's why the book of Eckhart Tolle is a bestseller, is so important. It is one of the pillars, okay, the basement, the basis, the foundation of a stable mind, okay, and a stable mind, and thereby a good health and a good state of mind as well. Okay, so it's just the fact to be absorbed in what you are doing completely, fully. The definition of Zen Zazen is the fact to do one task one by one. You're not doing many things at the same time, only one. And you are focused on that. You are doing cuisine, you do cuisine. You are cutting your cucumber, or your tomato. You are fully like in a communion. You are completely absorbed with your knife and in your tomato and so on. You're not thinking about your meeting of tomorrow, or what you say, or the movie you watched yesterday and so on. Okay, you are fully absorbed. Why is so important? And it releases stress because in the now, here and now, there is no space, no room for anxiety. Anxiety is the anticipation of a potential fear of the future. Okay, but it's not now. So what's the point of stressing? If you are completely absorbed in the now, you cannot be stressed. If you don't think about the past, you cannot suffer about sadness. Okay, that's why it's so important. It's so simple at the end, but practice makes perfect. Okay, so it's important. It's good to know. Then it's very good to implement as well. Then another technique is to clear your mind. It means to change your mind. It's referring to the key 37, to change your mind. It means that to do new things like artistic activities, to have, I don't know, to go to theater, to have, let's say, to laugh, for example. You know, this is a good way of releasing stress. I know that's for managing people. When I see people, they're really stressed before meeting and so on, if they have a talk to do and so on. When you use humor, okay, usually it distresses everybody. Even you, if you need to do a show or to do a talk, if you start, and this is really quite common, but when people start with just a joke that can be nothing, like a technical problem and so on, and instead of stressing, you can just use a joke. Everybody's laughing, you as well, you distress, okay? Everybody. So it's a good way. Laughing is excellent to release stress, and in general, we see that it's a good way for many things, communication and other things. We'll see in the key 57. Then to have recreational, periods, like escape solution, like good meal, good parties, good alcohol, and so on. This is different from having different activities. This is more referring to key 40, is to have, some altered state of consciousness. When you are a little bit dizzy, when you're a little bit, not to say drunk, but a little bit, you just drank a glass of wine, for instance, you feel, not stoned, but kind of, and just good, it's not bad for health, it's okay. And this allows you to reduce stress, So I'm not saying to drink alcohol all the time, is not what I say. Referring to addiction, 46, you have many techniques to avoid that, of course. And in the key 40, I indicate a lot of ways to have a modified state of consciousness. This is really important. I think it's even vital, It's really important, So then another technique is you contract, you compress, you engage all your muscle at the same time. All of them is very difficult. It's quite tough. You can try. All of them, you neck, and I cannot do it here, but if I'm up, I can do it. And you don't do for a few seconds. You try to do it for 1 minute, 2 minutes. It's really difficult. And at the end, I said to you, at the end, it's difficult to maintain like this, but you force yourself, and at the end, that's so good. And this releases stress as well. Then another technique is to scream, to cry, to shout a maximum, this allows you to release stress, to let it go. Shouts can be under the water. It's avoid that you destroy your throat, of course, in the swimming pool if you have access. This allows, or referring to key 32, or you run a lot, you run like crazy and so on until you cannot anymore. This, can be a source, or you punch in the punching ball or in a pillow and so on, as much as you can. If you do 3 or 4 minutes, you will see at the end how you feel. Distressed. Try it. Rationalize. What does it mean? Try to visualize factually. It means with your consciousness. We say in French, fear doesn't avoid danger. So I know it's easier to say because you cannot control sometimes. Yeah, it's true. But when you say, for instance, I have a conference, I'm stressed, but no need because I'm prepared, I repeat and so on. Normally, I know my text and whatever, it's not a big deal. I do my best, my intention is I'm prepared, I do all what I could. Now it's fate. It's So when you do that, you think about your previous experience, and it can be a source if you visualize of this on the success in general, and or if it was kind that you consider as a failure, if you had some corrective actions and you undertook some corrective action, normally you improved. So there is no reason that you don't do it properly. And also, don't expect to avoid stress. Don't have too high expectation. This is something that I say regularly to the conference, the talks, the course I give, and so on. Most of the time, I prepare more that I say. Why? Because time management, I never know, the interaction with people asking a question and so on and so forth. So usually I prepare more and I adjust, I change according to the interaction and according to the time. And I finish always on time. And I could say, shit, I didn't say that. Fine. But nobody knows. It's like you bring the food in a restaurant. Nobody see the kitchen. It's your own backstage. It's your own way. So just be comfortable. You prepare things. You did all what you had to do. Your intention out there. then it's all right. Okay. And this is the stress, the rationality, the tight, Rob Walker. Okay. If he's stressed, okay, he has more chance to fall down. If he feels comfortable, and why he feels comfortable? Because he can rely upon his experience. The fact, for example, he has a net. Okay, it can be, and also, just the fact, just to let it go allows you. It's the same phenomenon when you try to do, floating in the sea or in a swimming pool. It's easier in the sea because of the salts holding you. But let's say if you're stressed, you have a lot of chance to sin. That's a matter of fact. If you're stressed, okay, you're contract, you're engaged. So, but if you're just relaxed, okay, you let it go, it's okay. You're gonna float. It's the same principle. So if you try to rationalize like this, it's a good way for you to distress, but by the consciousness. Okay, then take care of yourself. Okay, avoid news. Okay, too much. No need to see, in a loop. There is lots of news TV channels. They are in loop like this. Okay, all the time. We are in a world of anxiety provoking situation with what's happened for 2 years. I was focused because I had a company in Shanghai, and I was focusing mid of January, of course, and 2020. And actually, this is what I explained in Corona Apocalypse, the book. This is SOS, Save Our Soul, in English, available for free on my website. And I explained, and I wrote this book in March 2020. And I explained that actually the situation, the stock market was completely going down in February, beginning of February, and it was not rational at all. Why? Because it was only in China at first. So we had no clue about the pandemic possibility. Okay? So it was not rational. So I think the viral dimension was more fear than the virus itself. But it's not the journalist, it's not the news necessarily. It's offer, demand, chicken and egg. Okay? The human beings like to be afraid naturally. The kids, when they say stories and they are afraid, and then they cannot about ghosts and so on, or same when you see some movies and so on, scary movies. Okay, is in the natures of human beings. Okay, so it's kind of business of emotions, but it's up to us also to switch off TV or whatever, computer, internet, and so on. So it's up to us. I told you many times, as Rumi said, the great Sufi, the real knowledge is to know what you have to ignore. It's so important. So it's up to you to avoid too much bad news, anxiety provoking. Same for people, okay? Same for situation and so on. It's up to you to manage and try to be more in, not a cocoon necessarily. Sanitize is not the idea, but manage yourself. You have to know yourself, and you know the limits, and thereby you adjust, of course. Then the good technique also is the visualization. Okay, visualization. For example, you have a talk tomorrow in front of you. I don't know, your team, and there's 20 people, and you hate that, you're losing control and so on. Visualize. You prepare. Your text and so on. You visualize. Okay. That you talk and you are at ease and you're smiling and people are smiling at you, they are applauding and so on and so forth. Okay, so you're in a positive, good wave. Okay, this is what we use for for athletes. Okay, for example, for sports. Okay, to visualize like this, because you generate in you is not only it is law of co-creation, law of attraction, and so on. Yes, but in parallel of that, it is a good way to this is self-conditioning as well. Okay, so it means that you try to infuse through your subconscious the fact that you are in a positive success. I mean, there is no negative success, but in a positive way to reach what you want. Okay, so you reduce your stress. Then another one which is quite linked is before sleeping, try to self-conditioning. Okay, self-conditioning. This is kind of reprogramming once again. Okay, it's you say, okay, tomorrow it's gonna be okay. The talk is gonna be amazing. Everybody gonna like, and so on and so forth. And you repeat like this ceaselessly for a few minutes, and you will be more. Why before sleeping? Because it is to inject. Is kind of self-hypnosis. Before sleeping, you are soaking. Your subconscious is soaking, is infusing these ideas. Okay. Then the notion of organization and having schedule. The problem of the stress most of the time is the fact that, it's when you have a big mess in a room, in a house, and you don't know where to start. It's the same principle. Sometimes you have so many things to do, so many tasks that you are stressed. So this is really important. This is what we will see also in the notion of organization, efficiency, time management in the next key 56 is where are the priorities, okay? The most important things, okay? And you focus on one of them, one after one, okay? This is really important. And for that, so organization, visualization, priority, schedule, to-do list, not to avoid, not to forget, and also to keep in mind, to visualize. And once again, Zazen is the fact to do one task one by one. Okay, we'll see and develop that time management in the next key. Then, very important as well, is to defer, sometimes postpone, procrastinate, postpone your stress. What does it mean? It's kind of it's not a joke. It's like sometimes you can say, okay, I'm very tired. There is potential stress. I don't want to think about it now. Tomorrow will be a daylight. Okay, we'll see that tomorrow. It will be time to stress tomorrow, for example. It's the same principle. Then when you wake up naturally. You have to wake up. Your alarm clock is programmed for 7 a.m. Okay, and you wake up, and what time is it? It's 6:58. Okay, just 2 minutes before, and you say, "Oh, forget about it. I sleep back," and you know that you do that for only 1 or 2 minutes. So it's going to be a nightmare to wake up just after, because you begin a new cycle, okay, a circadian cycle. Okay, but anyway, you decide to do it because for you there is only present time. Okay, so the nightmare to wake up will be after in 1 minute. So you don't think about after 1 minute. So try to do it and to put in practice for also stress, and you can afford. As long as you practice maximum this type of thing. And last but not least is the notion of pressure, because most of the time stress is the consequences of pressure. But pressure is up to us, okay? To decide to accept or not, okay? If your boss is putting pressure on you, okay, it's his responsibility, is not mine necessarily. Okay, I have a deadline. I'm sorry, I could never reach that. Okay. If it's not human, ask me, put me pressure for me to jump 6 meters. I'm not capable for doing that. I can spend all my life to train. I could never. No human beings can do. Okay. If you ask me 2 meters, or let's say, I could maybe, I don't think I could, but some humans can. But okay, it's the notion of, it's up to you to decide to accept or not this notion of pressure. Okay, you keep it or you leave it. Okay, and you can say also, okay, I try my best and so on. I'm gonna give everything I have in my hand. My intention will be perfect and pure, but I'm not guaranteed. Okay, so maybe it's better to postpone or give me a larger deadline. In business, most of people say, when do you need it? For tomorrow, for yesterday. Okay, well. Don't ask me. This is sometimes the clients ask us, and the clients sometimes they asking not possible. I just say sometimes nicely, I'm not a magician, okay? I'm not a switcher, okay? Witcher, sorry. So it's something important. Pressure, you manage pressure as well. You know, stress in general, I can conclude like this. Stress is like coldness. Coldness sometimes is 0 degree outside, so it's very cold, okay? Celsius. And, okay, two options. Either you're completely engaged and so it's worse, or you say, okay, let's try to relax. And this is the same temperature, but you release and you relax and you feel, you're feeling it, you can afford bear much more coldness. It's the same principle for stress. If you decide to say, okay, to let it go, with the old techniques we saw, usually it's work better. Okay, this is only one key for you to shape your master key to open up the door that you want, by the way. As you know, all the roads lead to Rome and to home and to the dome. Thank you for your attention and see you very soon.